always a relief when I take the time to center myself, to shift my awareness inward, to listen, to feel. To shift into a receptive mode. It's like we forget we have this capacity to just receive, to listen, to allow. There's a fear that comes up, that FOMO, that fear that if we don't stay vigilant, something will slip through our fingers. We'll miss out. If we don't keep the castle walls constantly maintained, some invader will get in and steal all our loot. But when we take the time to come into rapport with that presence within us, it reminds us that all of these things that we have, that we want, are sourced from within us. If we see them in the world, it's because they are a reflection of that within us. So if we see them in the world out of reach, that's because we have difficulty reaching them within ourselves. It's hard not to take that as some kind of failure or flaw. But I think it's better to look at it as this unfolding. We don't shame a child for not knowing what it might know by middle age. We're all on a journey of discovery, and most importantly, self-discovery. Darn it, she knows. It's very mysterious. But at the same time, It's not meant to be figured out analytically. It's something that we often stumble into. And that most often happens when we're willing to let go a bit. We're willing to soften our control of things. All of the efforting that we do can actually push the good stuff away from us. Because one, it distracts us from that inner peacefulness. It's suggesting that we can't receive it easily. We're buying into an ideology of competitiveness and scarcity. I feel like this is at a fever pitch in the world. This scurrying, this panic. It's akin to this kind of prepper mentality, which I can understand because I've been there. But I think that that's misled. You can stock up a ton of things in your fortress, and then a storm comes and washes it all away. We need to have the resilience inside of us. We need to be able to take it with us. We need to be adaptable. We need to have a home within that we find refuge in. I think also being familiar with surrender and letting go is important too. One, it's inevitable. It's going to happen, and so how do we deal with it when there's loss? Does it paralyze us? Does it cause us to be retaliatory and act out an aggression that sabotages our relationships and our support systems? Sometimes it's those very things that fall away. So we need to be our own support system. I think that as we do, then in the world, we will have those things that we need. They will appear, whether it be a person or something that we need. And it will be when we need it. We'll discover it. Somebody will give it to us. Things will line up. If we have things lined up within, then it will happen in the world. I believe that a lot of the angst that I feel is this combination of the world's angst, but also me working through letting go of my enmeshment with that whole paradigm of shortage consciousness, of rat race, of eking out or living this survival consciousness. And I think it's at its end. Not that there won't be challenges in the world, but that as humans evolve to the next stage, we're able to tap into this field that existed before, but it reflected our expectations of survival. That survival was difficult, that it was dog eat dog. This very materialistic way of looking at the world in reality. But we're being asked to evolve beyond that now, where we don't need to hoard things, where we can trust that the universe will provide for us. And it's not that we are like some immobile, decadent monarch just lounging on a pillow eating grapes for the rest of our life. There's great joy in being productive, in expressing ourselves, in manifesting things, in sharing things, in being of service. I think that we're here to be dynamic and creative and expressive, and to share those things with others, to give those things away. That's how they're truly made valuable, is when they're shared. I myself I want to own very little. It's a burden to own things. I want to be able to use things. I want to be able to play musical instruments and read books and have a bed to sleep in and a couch to rest on. But many of these things can be shared. And I see nothing wrong with a design where there's more communal living in more shared spaces and more shared objects, more cooperation. And I think this needs to be something that is organic. And that if the top-down authorities would get out of the way, this could be emergent. If there wasn't this top-down enforcement, this authoritarian dictatorship, which we're calling democracy, if that would just get out of the way, then we could discover the inspiration that is emergent from within each one of us. And the system could be birthed through each one of us. I don't know how this can happen without a very dramatic transition, because right now so many things are owned by a few. There's such a great disparity of wealth. So I think it needs to be something that is fairly universal, where we recognize that all the wealth actually has only ever belonged to the earth itself. Every single bit of wealth has been dug up or harvested somehow from the earth itself. None of it, including our bodies, belong to us. It's all just temporary. It seems very unjust that a few people are able to hoard vast sums of wealth and just sit on them, when that wealth could be used to lift other people out of suffering. And we could have absolutely incredible communal spaces and living. We could have absolutely stunning cities that are designed in a way that is about quality of life and not commerce. I don't think this is beyond us. But we need to address fundamental concepts. And changing those fundamental concepts will be hugely destabilizing to our world. And there's a difficulty in getting people to agree on things. Perhaps that is not the approach that's needed, as long as there's a breakdown of the top-down power structures. If the military and the police stop protecting the corrupt elite, for example, then citizens could take back much of the wealth. They could occupy the mansions that are never lived in. I like to think about these things because in doing so, it gives me hope for the future that we could have a different system. And I think that human innovation is capable of coming up with these things. We just need to get rid of the saboteurs. And the saboteurs also exist within us. And this is the most important place to address it. This is what I will always come back to, is what is going on inside. What is our relationship with the divine which dwells within us? And this is where we meet the designer of the world, is within. This is where we connect with our power to create. To solve these big problems. And it's not meant to be solved by one person. It's meant to be solved in a distributed, emergent way. And that's how nature solves problems, in a non-local, emergent consciousness, interconnected way. We need to learn how to tap back into this deep rapport with the intelligent design of the universe. Maybe this is exactly why things are falling apart. So that we'll be so exasperated with the world that we give up, that we surrender and turn within. I think those that haven't practiced turning within, or even know that it's a thing, will feel quite terrified as things escalate. If your whole reality is the world outside of yourself, and it is falling apart, it will feel like death. It will feel like the end of the world, the end of everything. But I think that is often the initiatory doorway. I've been there many times. But the thing is, I could see the disparity, or rather the fact that I myself felt like the world was ending. I felt despair, and yet the world didn't end. I felt that I must be crazy because I was the only one seeing certain things. And that has been very lonely, and that's been very, very difficult. But now I see that more and more people are quite concerned about the state of the world. Whereas I now feel like almost anything could happen, and I could feel peace about it. I almost feel like now that would be affirming that finally the world would reflect how I've felt. I don't want to see people suffering. I don't want to see our world ruined. But I do want to see a paradigm shift. I do want to see people waking up to what is important and how we've been hoodwinked into being rats in cages, experimented on, psychologically operated on, how we've given our power away in a myriad of ways, how we've been lazy, how we've been stupid, how we've been selfish. Yeah, we have to face these things. We have to face ourselves and take ownership of all the decisions that we've made. Not to shame us, but to reclaim our power and recognize how easy it is to give it away, how frequently we give it away, and what it means to be radically self-accountable. You're not recognizing these things for anyone else. It's not atoning to anyone else. It's at one-ment within yourself, atoning to yourself, the divine within you. And this is how we pass through the eye of the needle. This is how we ultimately forgive and release the past. If we feel something important was stolen from us, we were victimized, then we're going to be attached and dragging things with us. In coming into ourselves, recognizing who we are, we also recognize what we're not. And we let go of those things. The holes, the emptiness within us gets filled by our true self, our true nature. And there's a spaciousness, but not an emptiness. It's filled with light. And in that spaciousness, there's no room for clutter. There's no need to add to it. There's a contentedness. this comes from listening within. In practicing letting go of this drive to achieve, this drive to take possession, to own, to compete. Letting go of those things and making time to be with oneself, to dwell in silence. And in that silence, well, it's rarely silent. We observe the noisiness and the chaos. That's inside of us. It's like a house that's chock full of possessions and things that we haven't used in a long time. It's just taking up space, getting dusty. But as we come into ourselves, as we spend time there, just the light of our consciousness dispels some of that. Just kicks it out. And just pushes it out. The light takes up more and more space. And the old things we see as outgrown. We look at that faded old t-shirt that we loved in high school, and now it just seems unappealing. We don't want to go back there. We're done with that. It's over. We can let it go. And in letting it go, we make more space for the present. The presence that we are in the present. And that presence is so much more interesting than the past. It's so much more inspiring. It's so much more creative. It's so much more alive. It's so much more dynamic. The present is unlimited. If we can stay there, not get caught up in the past or the future. There's a lot of concern about the future. We may be doing quite well in the present. Things are good. We're not starving. We're not homeless. We got a lot. We got too much. But we're worried about the future. We're distracted from the present, where we have everything we need and want. Because we're freaking out about the future. When I say everything we need and want, if we truly come into the present moment, if we tune inward and listen, really be with what is in the present moment, we can find peace, we can find contentedness. And most likely, if we spend much time there, we'll really realize what we've been missing out on. Why have I been running around doing all these things to try and get this feeling that actually I can just get doing nothing? This feeling of relief. Feeling of a big sigh of relief. A recognition that most of these things that we're doing don't really matter. They're just spinning our wheels. Why do we want to do that? We go on holidays to do nothing. We work really hard and spend a bunch of money to fly far away so that we can do nothing. Obviously not all holidays are like that, but the whole idea of working hard so that you can retire suggests that you're not doing what you want to do now. Most people spend so much money on all sorts of things that really do not bring satisfaction. In fact, all of the belongings and all the things that we have, they require energy to maintain. We need to take care of these things. We need to keep them tidy and organized, and we need to pay for a place to house them all. I would love to live in, say, a mall-sized building where there's sleeping quarters that are nice, that have a big window, fresh air and light, but it's just a place to sleep. Wake up, go utilize shared resources, communal living spaces, communal kitchens, communal rec spaces. The shared resources would be much more efficient and, I think, more satisfying. I would happily trade having to make a lot of money so that I can live on my own for working less so that I had a smaller space that is my own, my private space, and have instead access to shared communal spaces. People go to coffee shops to do their work so that they're around other people. Sure, there's going to be a balance of like not too many people, and have a space that's not sterile like it seems a lot of communal spaces are designed now. No, it could be beautiful. It could be geodesic domes with plants and fountains and coffee stands and beautiful food and hanging gardens, all sorts of incredible, beautiful shared spaces. Just imagine if we had, instead of streets gridding out our cities, those streets were covered with glass ceilings, and every street was made into a park space, walking paths and bicycle paths and trees and plants, where all of the businesses and services and people spilled out and were interacting in all of the space that we have as streets. The faster transportation could either go underneath the streets, or it could be on the periphery where there was scooter paths or different things that got you quickly to those hubs. We could design something much nicer, but we need a different system. The crony capitalism just keeps people poor and makes just a few people rich. It's very easy to get drawn into this like criticism of the world and negative thinking about it. And I've been there, and it's made me sick, and it's made me depressed. And it's where I think so many people are at right now. It's really easy to get into negative thinking about the state of the world. But I think the solution on numerous levels, one, just for ourself, so that we don't lose our mind, is coming inward, is meditation, is self-awareness. And by self, I mean the inner divine entity, soul that you are. And it's not really definable. It's only experienceable. And you experience it by doing nothing. By just taking the time to listen. By directing that attention inward instead of outward. We're so used to being outward, we think that inward, just like sleep, is a kind of death. We need to familiarize ourselves with what is in that stillness, in that quietness within us. That is our sanctuary. That is our resourcefulness. This is what we need to tap into to birth a new world, because we need to birth ourself. And then when we have some self-awareness, when we are connected with that inner resourcefulness, then we can share that with the world. Then we can connect that to this grid of humanity, not a technological grid. There may be a technological grid, but it's not the primary one. This whole technological system that is being rolled out is a pale replica of the one that is the spiritual one. The morphogenic field, the emergent mycelium-like Indra's web of psychic interconnectivity of all of life. All of life is connected. This is the technology that already exists. The electronic technology is just a pale replica. It's a knockoff. We ultimately don't need it. I think it's okay that we have technology. And I don't think we're gonna get rid of it, but we can put it in its right place. We can take it down from this altar that we've put it on. It's not worthy of being placed on an altar. It's not worthy of being God. It must never be our master. If we know who our master is, then it cannot fool us. It cannot have power over us. We must know our master, and that is Christ consciousness. That is the divine that dwells within us. And we only find that by taking the time, creating the space, letting go of the distractions, sacrificing the world, sacrificing what you've made of the world. Because you don't know the world. You don't know reality. You've made it up. You've let other people tell you what it is, and you believe them. So ask yourself, what really is important? And can I find that within? What would it feel like? If I listen, can I find it within? If I look there, can I see it within? Stop looking to the world for your salvation, for your relief, for your happiness. You certainly won't find peace in the world. The only place you'll find peace is within. And how can you hear the voice of truth without peace?